Is money overrated? Maybe you feel that happiness, life, freedom, relationships, and probably a dozen other things are more important than money. Inside this episode, we're talking about materialism, if money is overrated, and what's more important in your life, the one thing you're probably forgetting. So let's do this. Welcome back to another episode of the Your Money, Your Life podcast. I am your host, Aimee Cerka. Today we're talking about if money is actually overrated, maybe like wealth, is being wealthy overrated, all of those things. Okay. So let's just start simple. Is money overrated? And it really depends, which, is quite often my answer because there's so many things that go into these questions. It's not just cut blank. Okay. So a lot of people will say, well, is relationships are more important than money, like money over relationships, right? Time is the one thing that you can never get back, right? And relationships are important and they need to be prioritized, but you also need to be able to have the freedom to prioritize them. So it when you figure out the money thing, when you get this done and you're comfortable with your money, it's not hampering your relationships, but it's not a priority over your relationships because when you truly have this figured out, you don't think about it. What I find is if there is a lack of money, we spend more time stressing over it and you spend more time thinking over it. When you figure this out and you're comfortable with your finances, you don't think about it. You don't have to worry about it because it's not there. It's not a big deal. And you're able to be present in your relationships, whether it's relationships with family, which is going to be the next one that we're going to really speak on, relationships with significant other, with friends, with your relationship, like your spiritual relationship, who you are as a person. For me, my relationship with God is very important, and that's definitely a priority. And I spend time in that. And of course, money's not a priority over that relationship, but there's it's not like an either or thing. And that's really what we're getting at. So money over your family. Many people have said they would give all the money away to have the family again, to have those relationships. But it's also, you don't have to be poor. You don't have to have that lack to be able to prioritize your family. And that's really the point that I want to get across here. This is the part that you're thinking. It's not like an either or thing. Now, a lot of us, when we'll list out of our priorities, we'll say like money over life, like money is important, more important than living life. If you list out your priorities right now, I'm sure that money is not like in the top four. For most of us, it's our relationship with our creator, it's our spouse, our children, other family, extended relationships. Work really doesn't make it on there like until lower. But if we look at the time that we spend dedicated to each one, and work kind of takes over. And you might say like that's just the way it has to be. And that might be true. But we also have to acknowledge like where we're actually spending our time at. So if living life is more important than money, and I would say that it is, you don't have to have a ton of money to create happiness, but your relationship with money needs to be happy. And this is kind of where I'm getting at. It's not like an either or thing. To be able to prioritize your relationships, prioritize your family, prioritize your life, you need to be able to do those things when you have a positive relationship with money. We don't have to have this overabundance necessarily of cash. You can, again, not an either or thing, but it's your relationship with money, because like we talked about last week, your stress is going to take over. You'll be more miserable if your relationship with money and you're not comfortable with your money. So the question is money and success overrated? And I really feel like they're two separate things. We have to define success, which is really a whole different episode, like talking about what success actually means. So if we take that out and just say, is money overrated? The answer is no. The amount of money you have, though, doesn't even matter. And if you're struggling right now, I can guarantee if you were struggling right now financially, just barely getting by, you probably want to punch me, roll your eyes at me, something, because I totally get it. I would have done the same thing. Just it is, but your relationship with money is everything. And I had a client, we were talking on one of the academy coaching calls, and she was talking about how she feels like her successes, her wins that she's seen so far through the program. And she said that she was more comfortable with her finances. And that, for me, is the key, because when you're comfortable with your finances, you see the success that you have already where you're at now. You can be present. You can realize there's not somewhere to get to. Yes, we have goals. Yes, I have goals. Yes, that I'm working towards. Yes, I'm helping my clients work towards those things. And I know that you do too, but there is success right now. Just be able to be present. And seeing the success where you're at is so important. This is the tumbling part. Blah, blah, blah. Let's try that again. This is the tumbling block right here. When you figure this out, everything else falls into place. This is why we start with the money, because we get it out of the way. So is money overrated? Absolutely not. It's very important. But it's not the amount of money you have, it's the relationship with money that you have. Just like the other relationships in your family, in your life, they're so important. You want to prioritize those. You want to make them key. But when you start with your relationship with money, you get it out of the way, everything else falls into place. So before we get to your challenge today, last week, I told you that I was going to tell you something at the end of the episode, and then Natalie got fussy and I completely forgot. So here we are. Thank you for all of those that reached out to let me know that I forgot to share that resource with you. This year, I am starting to give, it's going to be some behind the scene things. We'll do some Q&A days where you can ask me questions and we'll just chat. It's all going to be done via text. So if you text me at 817-969-4653, I'm going to start sharing behind the scenes secret resources. They're not going to be on the podcast. They're not going to be available via email. They're not going to be on Instagram. Purely just special things via text, as well as answering questions, Q&A days. We have our first one coming up. Let me look at the calendar. On the 12th. Text me a question to 817-969-4653, the word question, and I will make sure you get on the list. I'll let you know when we're doing the Q&A days so you can ask questions. We can work through these things because, like we said when we started off the episode, so many times when there's something that you want to hear, my answer is it depends. And whenever it does depend, we'll be able to talk about that specific situation so I can give you an actual recommendation, right? That's the key here. Plus, you'll get access to that secret vault, secret trainings, the special exclusive trainings. So just text me question 817-969-4653. Your challenge for today is I want you to think about, what does money allow you to do? Send me a message on Instagram or just text that to me as well. Your challenge for today, what does money allow you to do? Answer that question, and we'll see you next week for another episode of the Your Money, Your Life podcast. Bye for now. Thank you so much for listening to the Your Money, Your Life podcast. Wondering what's next? When you're ready, there are different levels of support that you can use on the path to creating unstoppable finances and your unstoppable life. After all, your finances are unique and your support should be too. Ultimately, we'll create a customized plan to ditch financial struggle for good that works for you, your goals, your priorities, your life. Go to workwithaimee.com to get started with one of our most popular programs, or you can book a Q&A call with me and we'll figure out what your next step should be.